What's going on, guys? Mackenzie Long here. So today we're going to be talking about term life insurance with living benefits. Now, this is something I think that everybody needs to have. And if you're young and you are fairly healthy and you already have a term policy, you need to switch it for a living benefit policy. And I'm going to tell you why. So let's first start this video with saying that I just did another video on term insurance versus permanent insurance. And I don't want this particular video to be a debate between term and permanent. That is the other video. So if you want to go watch that and get a feeling of my opinions on term insurance and perm insurance, definitely go watch that one. This one is specifically going to be about term insurance with living benefits and why I think every term insurance policy needs to have living benefits. Now, a brief description of term insurance just to get us off to the right foot. Term obviously means it's for a set period of time. It's kind of the rental vehicle of life insurance. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Generally, you're going to rent it for 20 or 30 years. The idea here is that you're going to pay a little bit in life insurance so that you can accumulate wealth over the course of your life, and then that way you no longer need the life insurance by the time that term ends. Now, regardless of whether that happens or not, and that's a great way to do it, but another way to do it might be through the building of a permanent policy. And I think in both cases, you still want a term insurance policy with living benefits attached to it. And the reason for that is this is the turbocharger on your life insurance. And as you probably understand, with a term insurance policy, it's a use it or lose it. Either I pay for it and I don't use it and I live a long life, or I pay for it, I die, and then I get a benefit from it. But if it's not used, then basically we paid for nothing. But where the turbocharger comes in is in the living benefits. Now, the vast majority of us will not actually use our term policies, which is a good thing, obviously. But what if you could expand what you can actually use your term insurance policy for in the term of living benefits? Meaning, if you have a chronic, a critical, or a terminal illness, you could actually use a part of that death benefit as a living benefit, hence the name living benefit. Now, this is very different than your return of premium type gimmick where you overpay on an insurance policy and basically you get some of that money back at the end. That doesn't make any sense to me. But what we're talking about here is an actual benefit that I think you might get a lot of use out of. So let's put this into an example form for you and some clients that I have or people who are not clients, and we'll kind of go through the difference in the scenario of their life. So very near and dear to me, I have a cousin's husband who is literally going through this right now. Now, he doesn't have any life insurance, which we can say whatever we want about that, but that's not the point right now. But let's say he had a regular term insurance policy. And we just found out he has a heart issue. He's got heart failure. Basically, it's operating about 20%, maybe a little bit less. And he has to have a heart transplant or he's simply not going to live. Now, going through this, he's not able to work, meaning he has zero income coming in. It also means that his wife is having to take him to appointments and do all different kinds of things and watch out for him, and they have 2 kids. So the challenge they're going to have here shortly is he needs to go to San Diego to get his treatment. However, he needs a lot of help. So his wife is probably going to have to stop working as well. And they're going to be adding the additional expenses of him living in another state. So let's just say that insurance, the health insurance, is going to take care of 100% of the medical bills. So let's not even talk about that aspect of it. Let's say that was all taken care of, which I highly doubt. But the life insurance at this point, if it's a regular life insurance policy, there's really nothing that you can do with it. Even if you had a $500,000 death benefit, the only thing they can do is that if he dies, he would leave that $500,000 behind. But part of the challenge is, how do they even continue to pay on the life insurance if they don't have any income coming? And this is probably one of the most traumatic things that a family can go through, and not just them and their immediate family, but even their friends that are close to them. All of these people will have to take a financial burden. They're asking right now on a GoFundMe for over $70,000 to cover the next couple months where he can get the treatment he needs to stay alive long enough to be able to get the heart that he needs. And then who knows what's going to happen from there. They're probably going to need additional resources because I don't know how long the downtime is after a heart transplant, but I can imagine it's not something you just bounce back from. Now, what if and this is a big what if, the insurance company, the life insurance, actually allowed him to take a portion of that death benefit and use it while he's still alive. That's called living benefits. So again, if he had that same $500,000 insurance policy, so let's say he had that same $500,000 insurance policy, but this time it's a living benefit policy, and because he's terminal, he would basically have access to up to almost all of that. Let's say it's a $500,000, and he could either take a portion of that or all of it. So let's say he decided he needed about $250,000. He could pull that out. Transamerica in this particular case would write him a check, and I think Transamerica is the best at this. There's other companies that have tried to do it, but it's not nearly as good. So if you can go with Transamerica, I think theirs is the best. But outside of that, Transamerica would basically write him a check, $250,000. It would reduce from the death benefit, so his $500,000 insurance policy is going to drop by whatever that amount is. But now he would have $250,000 in this particular case to take care of all of these issues. Do you think that changes the story for this family? Because one of the biggest challenges people have in the process of building wealth is not just dying, it's getting sick. And so if you could protect that with something you're paying for anyway by adding a nominal cost to it, to me, it just makes sense. It gives your clients, it gives yourself the opportunity to have a better chance to actually reach success in the end. And to me, this goes either way, whether you're a buy term and invest the difference kind of guy, or you're a permanent policy kind of guy. I've recommended in both situations adding a term policy with living benefits to that portfolio. So obviously it comes down to what's the difference in cost? What do you think it would cost to make up that difference that you could access that $500,000 when you needed it most versus having to wait till you die? So I ran the numbers for this individual. He's a 30-year-old male, and a normal policy, $500,000, is about $30. So I ran a regular term policy, and it was about $30 for a 30-year-old male. Now, if you wanted to add on the living benefits, it goes from $30 a month to $36 a month. So you're talking about an extra $6 a month to be able to access those funds early. And the reason why I think this is so important, and I call it the supercharger of your life insurance, is because we are way more likely to need something that's chronic, critical, or have a terminal issue by the time as we're getting older, and you're going to need this even more when you get older. So if you put this onto a 30-year term policy and you're in your 20s or 30s, you're going to have this into your 60s when you're really going to need it. So don't think about necessarily needing it now, but you're paying a very low price for it 30 years from now when you're really going to need it. And the reason why I think this is so important is because one of the biggest hindrances to wealth is actually getting sick. So what if you could cover that by just adding a couple dollars a month to what you're already paying to? So if you do have a term policy, whether it's through work, whether it's an individual policy, I highly recommend you check out Transamerica's living benefit because it is phenomenal. We recently had a client who had a $250,000 policy. He got a notice from his doctor that he was terminal, but him and his son wanted to travel around the world and go see baseball games. But him and his son wanted to travel around the country and go watch baseball games. So for his last couple months, that's what they did. How special is that to be able to spend your last few months doing what you want to do versus laying there hoping to die so you can leave something to your family? I don't know. That's a big difference to me. Maybe it's not to you, but I highly recommend you switching it to living benefits policy. If you need help shopping some of these things, let me know. Our team can help you with that. And as always, I hope this was helpful for you. Make sure you smash that like button and also hit the subscribe as well. And we've got some great content coming out that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to. And if you haven't seen it already, we are giving away over $50,000 in financial literacy. There's a whole nother video about that I highly recommend you go check out. There's also going to be a link down below. It's a MailChimp link if you would like to become a part of it. Now we're doing it here locally. Now it's something our team is putting on. It's not a YouTube thing. It's not a social media thing. We are literally fronting the money for that and helping to get these resources out to families. It's based around the best-selling book, How Money Works. You can also find it on Amazon if you'd like to pay for it yourself. I'll also have a link down below if you need a link to that. And as always, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.